to this world that we live in, where we see in elections how we're shifting from left to right, how big changes are happening, and changes are happening because citizens are feeling pressure. Citizens, and one of your topics here is dealing with hate speech and how citizens behave and react with each other. A major problem today where people behind keyboards or social media platforms just say the most vile things to each other. And what that does is build temperatures within the ecosystems. But at the same time, when people can't find jobs or people feel that they themselves are not valued within society, we find these tensions building and building. And of course, that's why platforms like this are so very important. Eric, I noticed the words, first of all, urgency, and I really like that, social cohesion, division and hate, radical shifts, migration. I mean, here in this region of our country, we have mass in-migration. We are the fastest growing region in our country by population. Many, many people moving, and they move here for opportunities, whether it be for education or healthcare or a job, or they move here because things might be happening and it's a great place, or maybe they move here because they're trying to relieve that itch that they are feeling. And we want to welcome everybody. But of course, it comes with its complexities, and it comes with the pressure on society. And so, I mean, just looking at this page, which is the insert in your program, and you see city-led prevention of hate, extremism, and polarization. That just says it all. You look at youth engagement, you look at hate speech, you look at managing migration, you look at urban planning and design. I know you will be having a discussion tomorrow, I think it is, or is it in day 3, with the violence prevention urban upgrade and how you use design and urban design to try to relieve pressure and change the spaces that people live in. And so I want to say thank you for this opportunity. I also want to say to the two co-chairs, the mayor from Den Haag, Mayor Van Zanen, and to Mayor El Mondi. Thank you very much. Oh, you're up behind me, the co-chairs. Thank you very much. I did want to say something around urban design and urban upgrade, and it was something that I learned when I was in The Hague last. And we have here in this region 2 coastlines. We have a coastline on my left-hand side and we have a coastline on my right-hand side. This coastline is high value, massive investment. It's where the economy resides along that asset called the sea or the ocean. And then we have one on this side which has pockets of investment on each end of the bay, but the center of the bay is where some of our poorer communities live, in Khayelitsha and Mitchell's Plain, and that coastline is a low-value coastline. And how do we change that? And how do we invest? Because with urban investment, you start to change how and where people live. I have a saying here, which is nothing stops a bullet like a job, nothing puts food on your table like a job, and nothing gives you dignity like a job. Now, here in our country, we have high unemployment rates, high youth unemployment rates, and that, I think, is probably one of the very scary areas of not being addressed, is going to create an explosion into the future. And that's why we need to get so many of these things right. And if we have a look at the programs that drive us, it's how do we bring about change. But in The Hague, and this coastline that we're talking about has high winds in summer, lots of movement of sand, and people say we need to really look after that region. But in The Hague, what you do is you have summertime migration of containerized restaurants, and you quickly open up an economic space. And even if there is wind, you've got clever design of wind deflection so that you make sure that if there is a cold wind off the ocean, you're protecting people where those investments are happening, and so you can create opportunity. And that exactly is probably an area where we can learn from you to say, let's take that low level or low investment coastline and swing it around and turn it into a valuable asset that will change people's lives. And that's what we really need to get right. We've got to make sure that we create opportunity, because when people have opportunity, when you start bringing people out of poverty and you start changing the Gini coefficient, the gap between rich and poor, you start reducing some of these pressures that are driving hate speech, or that are driving these massive shifts in our region. And perhaps the last thing I want to talk about is also how partnerships and how we learn from each other through these kind of platforms, and how we develop programs to deal with our existing problems. And one of those issues, and I know that I think JP spoke about it in New York, about some of our interactions where we have open public dialogue and open public space. I still think that we're the only government that I know of that every single first Thursday of the month, every single one, and we've been doing it for 5.5 years now as a government, all ministers, all heads of department are in an open forum that any citizen can walk in off the street, and the city joins us in that with the mayor and the MACO members and their executive directors can join us on any first Thursday, walk in, no appointment needed, and get to see any of the politicians or any of the senior officials on any issue. Whether it's a complaint or a good idea, we will engage. And we're very proud of that openness and ability to have one-on-ones. And we don't just keep it here at the city centre, we move it out to various parts of our region. But linked to that is our program around changing safety in an environment. Because at the end of the day, if we don't have safe communities, how can we have cohesive communities and communities of opportunity? And so we have a program, and in our city and our province, we call it a safety plan with a LEAP program, where we have enforcement officers that are deployed to our highest crime hotspot areas, using evidence and data in order to create a change in our country, because our constitution tells us that at a national level is how you deploy policing. It's a national level that has the criminal justice system, the court system, and those processes. But it's at local government level, at city level, and at regional level that we have to deal with the consequences of crime, that we have to actually find a way to develop cohesive, safe communities. So we've developed these plans in partnership with some loopholes in the legislation, trying to change the mindset of a national constitution-driven national government to devolve policing powers. That's on the one side. And using technology and innovation that comes from various parts of the world, whether it be New York City's partnership with the city, or Bavaria's partnership with the province, or stuff that we learn from other parts or parts of the world that you represent, and how we bring those best learnings to try to bring about a safer community. But at the same time, it's also got to be about violence prevention. And violence prevention is even a bigger project, because it's about getting to the root causes. And those root causes are about urban design and where people live and how they're able to live, and food security, and the first 1,000 days of a child's life. And if you don't give them the proper nutrition, you're setting that child up to fail into the future. It links through to your schooling system and feeding programs at school, because malnutrition is going to inhibit the ability of that citizen to live to their full potential. Or it's how we're using technology, the economy, how we're bringing about processes of citizens themselves able to step up and play a role in building a safer community and a safer society. So just those two programs are very complex. We're a few years into these plans where the data is already starting to show us that we are having a difference, perhaps on the immediate interventions where you've got boots on the ground. But the violence prevention, much longer learnings. And learnings, I know that from us, some learnings from Cardiff, and learnings from the Glasgow model in violence prevention. But also, I'm sure that while I'm speaking here, some of you are thinking, but you haven't seen what we are busy doing in our city somewhere in the world. And so that's why these kind of platforms are so very, very important, that we can share these best practice ideas, that we can try new things and try different things and learn from each other in this world that has so many complexities, so many issues that pull our citizens from one side or to the other. And our responsibility as elected representatives representing our citizens are to find those solutions, or to collaborate and work together so that we can build better platforms, build better societies, and in so doing, build a way better world. And that's what this platform is all about. I'm so glad that I can be here, that I can actually interact with a couple of you.